Hey guys, welcome back to the Chalanting Pod, episode 6. That's crazy. We got to episode 6. That's literally insane. But yeah, we're gonna hop right into it. As you might notice, there's a bit of a different background here because first time filming at my Davis apartment. Whoa. I mean, I could have filmed in my Davis apartment like before when I came back to Davis, but I didn't have time. But today is the first Saturday of the quarter, and I happen to have some time, so filming episode in my room. We got Kiki poster, we have my Bittersweet Days poster, we have Whole Earth Festival from 2000 that I got at Sunset Fest, flower poster from MU, MXM2 Liminal Space concert poster, and then Totoro poster, another flower poster. Yeah, so new setting, new episode. Let's get into it. Okay, starting off with the drink of the episode so it doesn't melt because I made it like 5 minutes ago. Boom, matcha again. I know this is getting kind of repetitive, but hear me out. This is a special matcha. It might not look special, but it is. So I got this recipe from Ashley. She's like a influencer YouTuber. She has like a matcha brand called Nami. She made like a tahini honey matcha, and I'm like, that sounds kind of interesting. That sounds kind of good. I have tahini and honey, but I decided to take a step up and do tahini salted caramel because I'm like, I actually love tahini because it's like sesame paste, so I like the nuttiness. Hear me out. It sounds weird. Hear me out. Black sesame adjacent, okay? I want black sesame paste, but I don't have it. So this is what we want for the nuttiness. Also, the new matcha that I got is pretty nutty, so I thought it would like complement. I've already tried it, but for the camera. Yeah, it's a caramel flavor. Kind of shines through. Add a little bit of salt, a bit more sweetener, so it's a bit of a sweeter matcha. But it goes really well with the nuttiness of like the oat milk and like the tahini and everything. So I would say this is a success. New drink. I'm going to try to actually drink this drink during the podcast because like sometimes I just neglect it and then all my hard work is gone. Low-key, it's kind of obnoxious for me to sip it, but it's all good. I'm enjoying my drink. So, but yes, this is the drink of the episode. Okay, but like, how are you? How am I doing? First week back. Let's debrief. So this week was quite chaotic. The first week was very turbulent, and I was crashing out every day. I was very stressed. There's a lot going on. Biggest op of this week was my waitlisted class. So I was story time. I was number 21 on the waitlist for Asian American 116, Asian American youth, because everyone and their mom wanted to be in this class, but I also wanted to be in this class. And this almost never happens with Asian American studies classes. Usually the waitlist is like less than 10 people, at most 5. Okay, so this was unprecedented. And I was like, bro, you're joking. So this was winter quarter, and I was already crashing out that I was number 21. I'm like, I'm never going in this class. My advisor, Joe, was like, yeah, girl, like, I think you should drop it and take another class so you can have enough units. And I'm like, yeah, I guess I'll just give up. So I did. But then this week, I realized everyone and their mom is in this class once again. Like, everyone I know in Asian American Studies, like, everyone is in this class. They all signed up without me. And I was like, bruh, I need to get into this class so bad. And my friend was like, yeah, you should join the waitlist again. And I was like, all right, bet. Join the waitlist. I'm number 17. That's how I ended off winter quarter, so no progress. And then every single day of this week, I was just begging to get in this class. Like, oh my gosh. It was like, okay, at the end of the day, it's not that serious. It's like literally not that serious. I don't need to graduate, like, or anything. I just really wanted this class, like, really badly because I'm just really interested in Asian American youth, okay? And, like, I want to take Professor Chung's class about it, and I could wait till next year, but I didn't want. Anyway, I want to take it with community, too, so I was just, like, tweaking out. And, wait, this is actually kind of funny. One of my ASA classmates made this, and I thought it was so funny. I was like, you're so real. She needed this class, too, so I'm like, you know what, like, we're on the same team. Let's go. End of the day, I got the PTA from Joe. Joe just emailed me. He's like, you're in. And I'm like, I'm blessed. I'm so happy. I was literally so happy. So blessed I'm in this class. Besides that, I just been tired. School hit me like a truck. And I'm not looking forward to it. I'm not going to lie. The assignments are stacking. Taking full course load, 12 units. So we will see how that goes. So far, I'm very stressed, but also I've been enjoying the sunshine and enjoying some good music. So I think there are moments of joy. It's been good to see people again. I'm definitely very happy to see people again. It's only been a week, but it does feel like it's been a minute, you know, so it's nice to like check in and catch up with people. So that's been nice. Taking a little sip. Yeah, speaking of music, we have a song of the episode. So I was very blessed with some new music this Friday. As usual, some artists will release music on Friday, and I'm like, yeah. And I was freshly showered, so I felt like great. I had like a good fit, and I was just like feeling good. And I put on my headphones and I'm listening to this new music. And this song called "To Our Forever" by SD and Patrick Kaiser. When I saw Patrick Kaiser, I'm like, this is gonna be good because I freaking love Patrick Kaiser. I was like, And I started listening to it, and I was like, wait, this is so good. I'm like vibing. I'm like low-key dancing on the bus. I'm like, this is bringing me so much joy and so much energy. And I was like vibing on the bus. I was like, which I don't know if that's normal, but like when I listen to music, I'm just gonna like get into it. Everyone else around can dance along. I mean, they can't hear it, but like they should catch the vibe. Anyway, it was really, really good. Just so high energy, so spring. And I was like, wait, this is great. So highly recommend. I'll link it. So check that one out. It's, To Our Forever. But yes, we're going to get into today's episode. So this one's a bit more of like a mix and match sort of thing, because there were things I wanted to talk about. Not enough for a full episode, but just like some thoughts here and there. And then we're going to do Q&A. Yes, because I'm channeling my inner YouTuber influencer, and I asked on my Instagram for you guys to submit some questions for me to answer. So we'll be getting into that too. I feel like I kind of like Q&As because honestly, it's just like if I don't have anything to say, you guys can give me things to say, so it kind of like works out. And then you get your questions answered, like we have a conversation, like podcast community, dare I say. So I was like, okay, let's ask some questions. Let's channel my inner influencer. So, but if you didn't get your question answered, or you want to submit a question, hey, it's still there. It's in my highlights. You should check it out. So, you're good. Like, don't feel left out. Don't feel left out. There's still a chance. But yeah, I also want to talk about some other things that were on my mind. I was like, wait, this would be great for the podcast. Honestly, I love this podcast because I can just yap about everything that's in my head, and it feels very nice because I'm a verbal processor. I was talking to a friend about this. But yeah, I feel like verbally processing my feelings, like what I learn and stuff, is just such like a good way to like solidify in my brain, like make new connections and stuff. And then I can just share it on the internet. So like, let's go. But yeah, I kind of want to get into like a few things. Okay, the first thing I wanted to talk about was my ASA 116 class, Asian American Youth, and then also just like general thoughts about like youth and kind of that realm of things. Wait, let me pull up my notes on this because I have some notes. But basically, so for Asian American Youth, we start out with like learning more about what youth is as a construct. And honestly, I've never really thought about youth as a construct before. It just like never crossed my mind. I'm just like, oh yeah, like that's just the age you're at. But we did some readings about it, and it's like different parts of the world define youth differently. And also like the concept of youth is also relatively new, mostly because of like industrialization, westernization, and like just different ideas of it. It's also shaped a lot by like modern education and the workforce and just a lot of other things. But we had this reading called The Denaturalization of Youth, and it's like challenging this idea that youth is like inherently biological or like natural, and it's kind of like sharing this idea of how a lot of youth is actually constructed, especially how like different groups are viewed as youthful or not youthful, or like what youthfulness means or what youth looks like or who is considered youth. And also a lot of it's very, very cultural, right? Like youth is so cultural because of how different cultures define what is coming of age, what is adulthood, and like different rites of passage or like rites of adulthood. And also the point they were also trying to make was about how youth is another way. Oh, this was the point. Youth was a way to define what is deviant and what is normal. And I thought that was so interesting because it connected to my disability studies class a lot about this idea of like normativity. And I was like, wow, this is actually like, I guess I knew this, but like not as explicitly in words. But basically the idea is like youth is kind of like what society projects, what's normal and what's deviant to try to filter out the behavior they want to see build the new society. So it's kind of like the youth is the means to which society reinforces its norms. So that's why youth are kind of controlled in that way and seen as like immature and deviant and need to be controlled by adults. But a lot of it is like society projecting the normative ideas that they want to continue, right? And like replicate and perpetuate, even though like we know like a lot of youth studies is about how youth are resisting the norm, right? And like resisting systems of repression and stuff like that. So I thought it was really interesting how it's like youth is like this site of understanding deviance and normativity, and also like different groups experience youth differently, such as like we were talking about in class, like people with disabilities are like infantilized and seen as youthful even if they're like adults, and they're like perpetually seen as youthful and therefore like, or childlike, and therefore like not like being able to be independent or have rights. And then I think like we were also talking about how like BIPOC youth, specifically like black men or black youth, either men or women, are also seen as or considered adults, especially like in the criminal justice system when it comes to like criminality and like juvenile delinquency. And also with like misogynoir, where like black women are seen as more adult in like a racialized, gendered way that like leads to more sexual harassment and like assault. So it's like youth is actually very much constructed, and it's like how people are viewed is like very impacted by like race, gender, sexuality, disability, and culture. And I was like, wow, that's like actually crazy, because I knew that, but like I didn't know that, you know. But I thought that was like super interesting, because then it also like makes understanding why studying Asian American youth is like important, and like kind of demonstrating that youth in of itself is also a construct, just like race and you know, class and gender and whatnot. I was like, wow, that's really cool. But I think more on youth in of itself. The reason why I was begging on my hands and needs to take this class is because I feel like I have a lot of interest in Asian American youth as like a subject. And it's interesting because I've had some back and forth on whether or not I want to work with youth or like children as like anything related to my profession. It's hard because on one end, I feel like I am more drawn to youth, high schoolers, like children, as opposed to like working with adults or older folks. But at the same time, I also feel like I'm not great at it. I don't think I'm bad at it, but I don't think I'm like amazing at it. Like I know some people are like, you know, just very much like it comes like very naturally for them to work well with like, okay, little kids. Like, I don't think I'm very good with little kids, to be super honest. I think it takes a lot of effort and energy to like interact with them. I feel like I can interact with like youth as in like high schoolers. I feel like I'd be okay with that. I feel like high schoolers are probably the easiest group I would be able to work with. And then yeah, working with peers. I can also feel like I can work with older people, but also I'm a youth right now, so I feel like that the positionality is like interesting. But anyway, there is some like back and forth, but at the end of the day, I am really interested in youth studies, like studying youth and youth culture. I think I was thinking is like, oh, is it just because I'm a youth right now, so it's like interesting to learn about college students or high school students because like I'm like closer in proximity? Maybe. I think that's probably a big factor, but I think also I don't know. I think I just really like observing like youth culture and kind of studying, like having what I see in my day-to-day life be something I can study. That I find that really interesting, because I think a lot of times academics can seem very like far away from you or like distant, and I think that might just be more applicable with things like I don't know, biomedical engineering. But the fact is every academic subject is everywhere, just how you see it. Like you could argue that chemistry is everywhere because like everything is made of atoms and stuff, but to me, I'm like, I don't see it, so like I don't think it's relevant to my life. But when I see like Asian American youth dynamics, I'm like, oh, I see that. Like I'm in it. I live it. I see it. And it's something I think a lot about. So maybe that's just it. Maybe I just think a lot about it and that's why I'm interested in it. I think maybe, okay, one other theory I have too is like, I think as a kid, because I was like struggling to make friends or like maybe having just trouble like understanding the social scene of things, I think I just had a lot of fascination with it, like not studying it, but kind of like thinking about it and thinking about why things are the way they are, thinking about relationships, thinking about friendships. And that was something that's like really like up in my mind. That's something I think about a lot. Maybe not necessarily in a personal way all the time, but definitely in like a, wow, that's really cool. Like, why are things like that? Why are, you know, youth cultures like this? Like, why, like, wait, there's this guy on YouTube called Etymology Nerd. I love him. He like, I freaking love etymology, and like he analyzes a lot of like brain rot terms and like, you know, etymology in the context of internet and social media. Bro, like he's so interesting. And I think like that sort of stuff also is just like really interesting. Like understanding like the place we're in right now, like why rizz is like a word, like stuff like that. It's just like funny and interesting, and we live in it now and we consume all these things. So it's like cool to also know like the context, the historical context, why things are the way they are. I think another reason why it kind of like resonates with me too is because I think I have a lot to draw on from my youth, and like everyone does in some way, because like I feel like your adolescent years, I'm thinking also to give a number, I'm thinking like age 12 to like 17. I think there's a lot going on there. And I think, okay, by the way, youth can also be defined as like 18 to 30, but like I'm thinking about like adolescence, like middle school, high school time. There's like a lot of things going on, like in here, up here, like a lot of like your baseline development. So I think like, and it's something that I consider a lot too, my own development as a person. I'm not even like at 25, my brain isn't even cooked yet, but like I still think about how those years were like so formative in a lot of my values and a lot of like my personality and my understandings of things. And I think because I'm so fascinated with my own like development in that sense, I think it's really cool to look into like how other people are coming of age and coming into themselves. I think that's just like really awesome, and like it's a very vulnerable time in life, which can also mean like a lot of like hardship. But I think it's also like vulnerable in a good way, where it's like you're kind of learning the foundations of like what you like and what you value and who you want to surround yourself with. And I think that can also be like a really cool process to kind of like come into. I also just consume a lot of youth content, but or like media, but that's also because I'm young, so like makes sense. You know, at the end of the day, the real reason is just because I'm an Asian American youth. Okay, like that, like let's just be so real. It just like relates to me as a person. So yeah, like it makes sense I would take ASA 116. We actually had to do a research project for it, and I don't think I had to decide it right now. We have like a few weeks, but one of the areas that I would love to research, and I was thinking about this last year, and also when I was going to college, because I mean, I don't really need to choose an area of focus, but if I was to think about what topics of Asian American studies I would like go into, I think it is hard because like I genuinely do have a lot of interests, but the one that speaks to me the most, just because of my positionality and where I come from, and like my proximity to this, is like Baysian, like Baysians, like Asian Americans in the Bay, Asian American youth in the Bay. And actually, my TA, she's like a graduate student, Angel, she studies youth culture too in the Bay Area, but also in generally, she studies like ABGs and boba culture. It's like really cool. And that sort of things is like things I feel like I'd be interested in too, like Asian Americans in the Bay Area and like kind of their relationship with the model minority myth and work and political activism and relation to education and their families. Because I feel like what's really interesting about the Asian American experience in the Bay is that you're surrounded by like so many other Asian people. It's also like pretty affluent, but that's not to say that all Asian Americans in the Bay are affluent, because it's so diverse and heterogeneous. And I feel like obviously like going to like Palo Alto High School is like its own experience, but also like other high schools in the area like Leland and Cupertino High School and Monte Vista and Lynbrook, like all these high schools have like a really large Asian population. Okay, I forgot to mention Gunna High School too. And they have like their own school culture that's really distinct from other American school cultures. And I don't know, it's so distinctly Asian American, but at the same time also so distinctly Silicon Valley. Like you can't say that it's representative of Asian Americans or that's only representative of Silicon Valley. It really is like a combination, and I feel like it's so interesting to like get into, especially since obviously I have like firsthand experience. But if that's something I might get it, I don't know if that would apply to my course necessarily, because I'm sure there's like rubrics and stuff that I would have to follow. But that's definitely something that I was like really interested in and that I would want to like research more in the future, sort of thing. Okay, switching gears to talk about something else. There's something else that I also kind of like learned, or like something I took away from this week. So for InterVarsity, we had a large group, our first large group of the quarter, and we're doing like Fruits of the Spirit. So we were talking about love. And the speaker was talking about ways that she sees love in her life or the way she makes room for love. And something that she said that like kind of resonated was like, how can we love if we're so like scheduled and busy and like every hour of the day is planned? Because like friendship and relationships and love require slowness and time. And I wrote that down because I was like, wow, like I feel like that really resonated with me. And it's definitely something I've been like considering a lot in college, where it's like, you know, how much time do I want to give to each thing? Like college is a lot about balance, but it's also like, you know, I really wanted to focus on relationships in college and how can I make that possible? And I made this joke where it's like, how can we live, laugh, love in these conditions, right? Or it's like, you know, the other meme where it's like, did I finish my essay? No. But did I love? Did I experience joy? Did I go outside? Yes. And honestly, that's kind of what I want to channel to, because I talked about this previously. I'm obviously here in college for my education and I am learning so much, and I'm not being like drop out of school and don't do your homework. Like I do my homework, but it's more like, I much more value like building relationships and finding community in college, because I know that that's equally as valuable as doing the learning that I'm doing in like my classes and stuff. And honestly, they complement each other very well, because a lot of Asian American studies is so relational and it's so hinged on putting those values into action. And the way that I try to put my values into action is through relationships. So it like, you know, works out. But I realize like, I've also talked about this in one of my episodes, but like as a very busy person, it's like, how busy do I want to be? I think I'm just going to be busy to some extent, just because like that's just like kind of how I am as a person. I'm just like kind of busy and like always on the go. But it's like, to what extent, right? Like I want enough time to live that love and like enough time to kind of have the slowness and the space for love and relationships, because that will take time. It's hard to like maintain relationships or show love when you are booked and busy. Obviously, it's like possible and there's ways to balance, but it's just harder, right? To kind of give that and have that generosity with your time and with your efforts, and that capacity, right? The capacity in your heart to love other people. And obviously it means that you have to be poured into as well. Like there's a lot of burnout that comes from just always giving and not receiving. And like in a lot of professions, like being a counselor or something like that's pretty common. So I think it's like, obviously it's not just like a one-way thing, like receiving love and giving love, but I also think having the capacity to receive love is like, that also takes time and growth and slowness and building relationships, but also like a sense of like, you kind of have to slow down a little bit to receive love, right? Like if, okay, this is a funny analogy, but if you're like running, right? And you're like sprinting and someone's trying to give you water, you like, I don't think you can just run by and grab and sip. Like it's gonna be hard to drink that water and like fully feel hydrated and like nourished by that water while you're running super fast. You kind of gotta like slow down, drink your water, rest, and then like keep going, right? Actually, maybe this analogy does work, but like I think that kind of like shows it's like, how much time can you like afford to receive that love and also give love. And I was like, wow, like I think that's really cool and really beautiful. And that was a really interesting take about like the fruit of the spirit, because I feel like love is like obviously a big topic and like you can say a lot of different things about it. But I think it was a good message and a good perspective. Okay, now it is time for Q&A. You ask questions, I will be answering. So we're gonna start with the first question, which is, why Molly Jasmine? So Molly Jasmine, if you don't know, is a milk tea boba shop in downtown, and it is my favorite place downtown, like number one in my heart, my beloved, okay? The reason why is because, first of all, their aesthetic, like they literally, their theme is like blue and jasmine. I love jasmine tea. This is like the Chalani podcast, right? Literally this color of blue. I love milk tea. It's just the vibes are all there, right? It's also so aesthetic, so pretty, so nice to study in, sunlight. Ugh. Like they have a bathroom. It's like so. The only like they don't have enough chargers. That's the only thing. I'm like, have more chargers. It's for students. But I literally have like 200 points there. I go there like every week. Okay, the reason why, I mean, I like it, but the reason why I go so often is because I went in like winter quarter, and then I was like, I don't know, like I think I used it as a coping mechanism afterwards, because spring quarter was rough and I went every single week because I'm like, I need to cope. And it just like became a habit, and it's nice to like go there and socialize too and like hang out with friends, Molly Jasmine and YAP. But almost also like good to study there too. Like The Molly Jasmine juice powers me up, and like I've written essays there before. I spent like 5 hours there, but it's like my place, you know, so that's why Molly Jasmine. Okay, so next question is, what is something you wish you knew before going to college? This is a great question. I think a lot of people watching are in college, but like, you know, it can still apply. Okay, on a practical level, one, I wish I knew that Davis does not guarantee housing for second year, because I did not know that going into Davis. I was like, oh. Another practical thing, I wish I knew that you can explore things as soon as school starts. Like, I didn't know that all like the NSO stuff like was in the very beginning of the school year. Like, I thought I had to wait till club day, like it was in high school, and I was like, oh freak. Um, but on a like a less practical level, more like an internal level, I kind of wish I knew that like college is hard for a lot of people. Like you might just not see it. And I had this vision of like what college was supposed to look like and how things were supposed to go and like this vision of like ideal college life. And I think there are a lot of people who experience that, which is great, but I think not everyone does. The majority of people don't. Or they just pretend it's like that, or they just don't talk about how it's hard. But I think I was really hard on myself because I was like, oh, something's wrong with you if you're not living like this sort of life, this sort of ideal college life, and like you're struggling. But the reality is like a lot of people are struggling, and it might not be very obvious because they might not show it or talk about it. But a lot of people like college is hard, right? Just the way things are structured, like things are difficult. It's hard to make friends, hard to find your people. That's not like easy. And if it is easy, like good for you, right? But I wish I was like less hard on myself because I actually ended up talking to a freshman about it during orientation, and it was like kind of a full circle moment because she was also worried about making friends and like fitting in and belonging. And I was kind of telling her about my experiences too, where it's like I also felt that big pressure of like, oh, I'm doing something wrong, like I don't belong, I'm not making enough friends. And I kind of tried to change a lot of myself to like fit in. And it was a lot of pressure, right? But I think in telling her my experience was really cathartic to be like, wow, like I kind of wish I knew this as a freshman. Like I didn't have to conform myself so much and like pressure myself to fit in. I think I had a lot of social anxiety too, which is part of it. So not to like invalidate that. But yeah, I feel like that would have helped freshman Johanna like a lot. Next question is, do you have daily self-care practices that help you manage your mental health, i.e. anxiety? This is also a great question. So yes, I do have anxiety. I have talked about this before. Not just social anxiety, but just like general anxiety as well. Daily self-care practices. Okay, I can't say I do these daily, but the ones that come to mind is music is definitely one of the main ones. I'm always listening to music just because I'm capacity, like as soon as I wake up or just like when I'm driving to school or like on the bus. And it definitely really helps, especially like certain songs in different times just really help kind of regulate my emotions or just like give me joy, right? Like, excuse me, like a lot of the music I listen to is like very joyful, and that's like intentional. Like I'm trying to add more to my life or like add some happiness to my life, and I really find that from music, or singing. I think singing is another one too. Like that is just such a like fun, cathartic, enjoyable like practice. I don't know if it's called self-care. I mean, I just do it, but like singing in the car is like one of my favorite things. It's so fun, and like it's very freeing to sing in the car, to, like dance in the car. I think also journaling. I was talking about a friend, I don't actually journal that much because I don't really like writing. I'm like a verbal processor, so I'd rather like yap on it on a podcast or like on a voice memo or something. I've done video journals before where I just like record myself talking, and that's been really helpful. The only thing is it just takes a lot of storage, so I don't do it as much. But one thing I will do is that I do when I journal in my notes app, I don't do it like physically. I usually do it digitally. I usually just write out what's on my mind, but it's very like brain dump sort of thing. Sometimes when I'm really stressed though, it really helps for me to write down everything I'm stressed about. That can sound counterintuitive, but it is helpful to see like everything in front of me, and then because it's like all the thoughts are swirling, like I'm stressed about XYZ, and I feel like writing it out kind of gives it more structure, and then I'm able to like first validate myself. It's like, okay, this is why I'm so overwhelmed because there's so much on my plate right now, on my mind, but also gives me kind of like clarity to like if I want to address it, but also just like gets it from here to like on like something else like a notes app, right? I think also sometimes I do meditations. Actually, it's very rare nowadays, but back in the day, like during quarantine, I would do like these 1 to 5 minute meditations on YouTube, especially if I was feeling really anxious. And I think it helped a lot because a lot of my anxiety was in like high school. And I think that was like really, really helpful when I was just like in such a state of panic. I think the last one is going outside and like going on a walk. I did a lot of that in quarantine as well. And I think now it's more like going to the arboretum. I was going to arboretum a lot in March because I was feeling pretty anxious. Making my matcha self-care, or making myself like drinks or food, or cooking for myself, or definitely like I want to nourish my body in like in different ways. Like I've been trying to cook like very nourishing meals, so that's like I guess also counts as a form of self-care. Okay, next question is, it's pretty similar to the self-care one, but I feel like I can answer a bit differently. What do you do to help your mental health state? I feel like it's kind of general, but I'm kind of thinking about like when I'm in like a slump, like like in a mental health slump. I think the first thing is feeling my emotions and understanding it instead of just like going straight to a solution. I've talked about it in my second episode, but that's just kind of the way that I process things. Is I am not necessarily looking for solutions immediately. I'm more concerned with like addressing my emotional state. And usually that's like doing something that's restful and caring, like not doing my homework. Like if I'm feeling like really low or in a bad mental state, I'm not going to be able to do my homework. So why would I force myself? Like that's not going to help. I'm going to feel even worse about myself. I might as well just take the day off. So, I mean, if I'm, if I'm like really stacked, I might not do that, but I might try to just make things easier for myself, like finding little ways to make things easier or more enjoyable. Um, the easiest way I cope is get Molly Jasmine or boba. I'm not gonna lie. But something that's like less expensive is I've said this before, but like going outside, listening to music is usually my combo. Talking with people really helps. Opening up to people about struggling really helps. I think also in general, well, like sustainably too, like going to therapy or counseling, and also being aware of like the stressors in my life, and again trying to make things easier for myself. Like I've like recently, like since high school, try to be a lot more strict about how much I let into my life. I'm not always great about it, but at least I'm trying to like be very intentional about what I let in and what I like put out, and not necessarily like saying no to things, but just like knowing my limits and capacity and like respecting other people's limits and capacity. I hope, yeah, I don't know. What else? How do I help my mental state? Asking for help as well. It's something that I feel like I'm getting better at, or that I've been getting better at through the years, but asking for help is invaluable, very awesome. And I think like in general for the community, like offering help is also very awesome because it's not always easy for people to ask for help too. But asking for help even with practical things like, hey, like, do you want to go with me to get groceries? Or I mean that applies more for me because I'm on crutches, but it's like, can we talk, or can you accompany me to this? Let's do this together. Could you help me with assignments and stuff? Just like finding little ways to make life better with other people, because when you do things with other people, things get easier. You have someone to support you. I feel like things are better things are better when you're in that sort of community connect. Okay, this one's, I don't think a real, like, not like a fake question, but I don't know if it's supposed to be answered. But my dear friend wrote, does my best friend know that she's incredible and awesome and slay? I guess now I do. Like, thank you so much for the affirmation. Affirm your friends, rizz them up, per my last episode. Okay, next question is, how do you stay informed politically without getting overwhelmed? Okay, the fast answer is I don't. Either I don't stay informed politically or I get overwhelmed. I'm gonna be super, like, we're keeping it real here on the pod, okay? But a better answer is, I think I am still, like, I don't think I can ever truly shut out staying informed politically, because it's just like part of my values to stay informed. However, I don't think I'm perfect at it. Like, I definitely can feel a lot of like, I don't really want to engage. I don't want to get like disengage. Just staying grounded in my values and my visions. Okay, vision sounds like a lot, but like my hopes and ideals for the world and knowing that there's other people who share that. I feel like that's very grounding. And then I also try to do things offline more. Like, I think Asian American Studies in of itself is a very grounding major, and like all the courses I take are very much like kind of root me in reality and also in future action and like political involvement, and a lot of things just connect with one another, right? Or I can like draw those connections between my classes and what I see. I think I will say with like Trump specifically, I kind of decided that I would not be completely up to date with everything just because I know that it's not necessarily productive, and it would just put me in a cycle of rage. Like when Trump was in office from like 2016 to 2020, that was all it was, is just like raging and raging and raging and having like all this anger that wasn't going anywhere. And I'm not saying that like I'm just going to like shut everything out and like not care. I think I should know enough to like be informed and like know what's going on. I think I do, but I'm not hyper fixating it to the point where I get like numb. And I'm trying to stay focused in my values and know that like I am trying to do what I can in my areas and stay informed how I can, and like how do I use that knowledge, right? I don't know. I feel like I'm not answering this question super well, but it is kind of complicated and I'm still figuring that out too. But thank you for the question. Okay, next question is curious about your spirituality and how it's bettered your life. Okay, this is also quite a complicated question, and I feel like I might take some time to answer it because I feel like, okay, let's start off first about spirituality. So I think my spirituality, not gonna lie, at the moment is a little bit unknown and a bit confusing for me, just to be for real. So I can't really give like solid answers. I think, as a lot of you guys know, I'm part of like a Christian community university, so that is definitely something that like kind of informs a lot of my life. And I am most affiliated with Christianity when it comes to like religion. For me personal, like my spirituality, it's hard. It's honestly hard for me to say. I think I do align with a lot of values of Christianity, and that is like the main religion that I know the most about and that I most associate myself with, as opposed to other religions or just no religion at all. But at the same time, there's also a lot of things that I'm questioning and doubting, and I don't really know where my own spiritualness is at the moment. I will say I am still kind of a spiritual person, if anything, even if I don't have like exact answers or if I know exactly where I stand with Christianity. But I know I am like a spiritual person, as in like I do believe in kind of meaning beyond what is. I don't know even what the definition of spirituality is, but I think kind of the parts that still resonate with me that I still keep in my life are the values of like compassion and like unrelenting and unconditional love. Like that's a value that is like truly like with something I really really hold dear to me, as well as the value of community, of having deep relationships with people, emotional vulnerability, like emotional intimacy, and as well as understanding people very deeply and understanding where things come from. I also believe that, I don't know, there's like just something more meaningful than just like the, surface level or just what you see. But I think in the ways that it betters my life, I think there's ways where it's confusing and I can't necessarily say it's bettered my life. But in the ways that it has, it really grounds me, and those spiritual values really kind of give me a sense of peace that is hard to find elsewhere, and kind of a sense of comfort and security, but also kind of, I think, like intention in how I'm interacting with people and showing care, and how I navigate like the world and relationships, and how I see the world and relationships, and how I interact, like see people, and in trying to express those values outwardly through things like patience and grace and love. Wait, this is so fruits of the spirit. Peace, joy, patience, right? But those are things that I do strive for, but in also understanding that it's like I'm never going to be perfect, and that's okay because it's not my works or perfections that give me worth. It's just my inherent worth as a person, as if everyone else. So I think that is something that I do really, really resonate with, and it does really build a foundation for me as a person and how I exist in the world. Yeah, I hope that answered it. It was kind of a long response, and the reason is just like I'm still figuring things out too. But yeah, that's my answer. Next question is, what are important things you keep in mind during an argument? And says interpret however. Okay. I think my interpretation of this is just like when you're in an argument, what's in your head, what's going on in your head. I feel like different arguments have different things in mind, like arguments with friends versus with family. Whew. Or like speech and debate. I don't know. I don't think that's what the question's about. Okay, I think let's do friends and families. Friendship arguments and family arguments are like two different camps. Friendship arguments, I think, cause me a lot of like anxiety and stress, but it's the feelings that I'm having is like, oh, I don't want to have conflict with this person. It feels so awkward. It feels so like uncomfortable, and I want to be on good terms, and I don't want to lose this friend. And how can I like communicate this well? Like all that sort of things. And I think what I keep in mind with any argument is like trying to understand where the other person's coming from, because I feel like that is like most of the time when you're having an argument, it's less about the actual issue and more about what's going on inside. Like, I don't know how to word it, but it's like they're not just mad about blank. They're mad about blank because it reminds them of this, or because this is going on in their life, or because they have these feelings about this, right? So it's like the argument isn't really about the argument. It's about something like so much deeper. And I think when it comes to friends, I really try to understand the root of like what's going on, or like how they feel, or like what insecurities or feelings it's like coming up. I also try to be very like mindful with what I say, and try to be very like kind of give everyone their credit, if that makes sense. Not like, okay, credit feels too academic. Like give everyone grace and validate everyone's emotions. And something I'm trying to be better about is like self-advocacy too. Not like, okay, self-advocacy and arguments. More like conflict resolution than arguments, I would say. Because at the end of the day, it's like you and that person against the problem, as opposed to like you guys fighting. But like it also can manifest as like you arguing, right? Okay, with family arguments, I definitely argue like a lot with my family. So it's definitely something that comes up more for me. Also, again, anxiety and anger and sadness and frustration. I think frustration is more clear with my family, though, is something I realize, because I think obviously the generational difference is like kind of harder to bridge, and the communication differences are also really hard to bridge. So lots of frustration and like just like I think the things that are usually in mind are like how I'm going to best explain myself, like how I can communicate well, and then how I can like understand my parents and understand where they're coming from, because also they just have like a completely different viewpoints, values, like different positionality, like their parents too, right? But I also usually try to think through like why my parents are acting that way too, because they usually won't explain it. I think that's the difference, is like I wouldn't ask like what's going on behind their emotions or reactions or words. I have to kind of figure it out myself, because usually it's not really revealed to me. So that's usually what's on my mind, is like, why are they acting this way? Like, what could be contributing to it? But it is kind of a guessing game as opposed to just like talking about it. And I feel like, yeah, friends and family are very different when it comes to arguments. Okay, the next one is advice for people dealing with imposter syndrome in college and anxiety and trying new things. Okay, I think these are two separate questions. So I'll answer the first one first, and then the second one. First, I'm going to take a sip of water because we've been yapping. Also, water bottle reveal. Little tour. But I just decorated it and added these charms, and I'm really happy with it because it looks really cute. But it did take me like a little longer than I like to admit, because I was like planning everything out. Okay, anyway, let's get into the question. So, people dealing with imposter syndrome in college. This one's hard because I also have imposter syndrome in college. The main thing with imposter syndrome is to understand that, first of all, a lot of the roots of it come with racialization and misogyny and a lot of other factors that make one feel like they don't belong in a space. Like, a lot of imposter syndrome affects people in marginalized identities, like, and especially women, right? So I think that's one thing to note is that there are real power dynamics and struggles that are like real and present and that influence who is seen as belonging and who is seen as not belonging or an imposter, right? So first of all, there's that. But I think the thing that I've heard a lot before with imposter syndrome is understanding that a lot of people feel it, even people you think may not feel it, like those that you think belong or like are like all that. Okay, wait, all that sounds kind of mean, but like the people that you think have made it and don't feel imposter syndrome, knowing that they feel that way too, I feel like is very validating, and understanding that like it's not like there's something wrong with you, it's just that like it's very natural to feel that way. And the reality is because we actually make a lot of assumptions about who belongs and who doesn't. There's also ideas of normativity, which I talked about with like the disability studies class, where it's like who looks right here, who looks wrong. That could also be really influenced by things like ableism and racism and sexism and etc, right? Or classism is another really big one, right, when it comes to college. So I think recognizing that there are real factors contributing to it is also validating in a sense, because you're realizing that the reason you're seen as an imposter or not normal is not because you are like not normal or not good enough, but it's because institutions and society deem you so because of injustice and inequality, and that is what needs to be changed, not like you're wrong or you're an imposter. But also on a more personal level, I mean, I also experienced a lot of imposter syndrome. I remember I came here, I was like, oh my god, like all these baddies are like doing so amazing, and like they're all so like put together and ambitious, and I'm totally not ambitious at all. Like I think I talked about this in my third episode. And like they're like rising the ranks, and like I'm not even doing anything, and I felt like so out of place and not good enough. And obviously like college is very diverse, so I was mostly comparing myself to the people around me as opposed to like UC Davis or college students as a whole. So I think I honestly still feel that way, but something that does help me is that I was talking to a counselor about this, and she was explaining that like, okay, like I'm not doing anything. That's not true. First of all, I am doing things. I'm taking classes. I do work for InterVarsity. I'm dealing with my health and my surgery stuff. I'm like balancing my life and trying to like eat healthy and, you know, see the sun and sleep and eat 3 meals a day. Like that's all work, right? I'm trying to balance all my relationships. I'm trying to focus on community. So like I am doing things, and I'm doing things with a lot of intention. So first of all, I am doing things. Second of all, in me not doing enough is like me not being part of like these clubs, or, you know, getting like a job, or like rising the ranks, or graduating early. But then the reality is like I don't want that. Like I don't want that at the end of the day. Like I'm not trying to grind set here. I'm not trying to like, you know, course max, or like I'm not trying to graduate early. I'm not trying to go to grad school. So the reality is like I don't actually want those things, or I'm not trying to achieve those things. So why am I being hard on myself for not doing that? Like that might be what other people are doing, or what is like the LinkedIn Palo Alto mentality. It's like you have to. And that's also very real and valid, right? Like that I experienced that because that's what I grew up with. And it can be hard to like talk back to. But the reality is like all my actions have been very intentional and have a lot of thought, and I'm going off of my values and what I want to do, and, you know, kind of going this like quality over quantity sort of thing. So when she said that, I was like, wait, you're right. I have been like being intentional, and I have been doing things that are valuable and that I care about. And I've just been really comparing myself. But those aren't things I necessarily want to do. So why am I saying I have to do that when I don't? And why do I feel out of place in that when that's not what I'm even trying to be in place with? Okay, I hope I haven't deviated too far from the question, but I feel like that mentality helped me a lot. Okay, part 2 of the question is anxiety and trying new things. Okay, I can't even answer this because I have so much anxiety trying new things. Like kind of a story, but whenever I try a new drink or like a new thing, it always tastes bad. Okay, not always, but like 90% of the time. And I'm literally like so mad, especially with boba. Boba is like $7, bro, like in this economy. And like over spring break, I got this drink and I thought it would be so yummy. And then it was like $7.50 and it tasted really bad. And I was like, I'm never trying anything new ever again in my life. But yeah, I have so much anxiety with trying new things. So I'm like, how do I answer this question? Because like, actually you should answer it for me. I don't know. I'm asking you guys. Let's see. I think I do kind of live by the idea to some extent that it's like just doing it and being anxious, if that makes sense. Like I'll be anxious, but I'll still do it. Like I'll do it, but it'll suck. I think that was kind of what it was like to some extent, because I'm like, oh, I know it's good for me, so just do it. There are some like instances where I feel like you shouldn't force yourself to do things that make you uncomfortable, because like that isn't healthy either. But with new things that I want to try, I guess I kind of just try to hype myself about it. Like, what if it's amazing and awesome and like, you get a lot out of it, and like, just you won't know until you try, sort of thing. Because I would rather try and then fail instead of just not try. Because then at least I like saw, what happened. So I don't know if that's helpful at all. Maybe like trying new things, going with other people helps a lot. I feel like, because at least you have like one person that's familiar and you're not going alone. Don't not being so hard on yourself if you don't like it or if you're not good at things, because it's new. Like, if it's new, like, why would you like, I mean, some people will just naturally excel, but it's understandable to not have that. I don't know if that helped. I hope that was a good answer. Okay, now we have some very serious questions that I have to address. The first one is how to reach your level of unmatched rizz. So my rizz is unmatched, so I fear you can just never reach my level. But if you want to, like get somewhere close, I would say practice every day. Rizz up your friends every day. It will slowly come naturally to you. You will become the Rizzler. You will rizz max every day. Sorry if you guys are watching this. But I think that practice makes perfect, okay? Rizz your friends every day. Make them feel special. Make them giggle, blush, kick their feet. Like, why not? Add spice to life. Add some rizz to your life. And then maybe you'll just match my level. Who knows? Next question is, if you could have a conversation with one dictator in history, who would it be? Okay, low-key, I don't know that many dictators in history because history knowledge is like not really there, but I feel like none of them, like, I feel like all of them would want me dead. I'm not gonna lie. Like, all the ones I could think of would want me dead. One dictator in history? Sorry, this is such a bad answer, but I'm gonna say none of them because I think I would die immediately. So I'm gonna say none of them. Last question is, feet reveal when? 1 million subscribers. You can make it happen. You can make 1 million subscribers. Okay, this is on record, 1 million, and then feet reveal. Okay, that is all for today's episode and for the Q&A. Thank you so much for submitting your questions. It is much appreciated, and I might do one of these in the future, so if you didn't get to ask a question, don't fear. Don't fear, your chance will come again. But yes, I hope you enjoyed hearing the YAP, the unstructured YAP, and I am wishing you guys the best for the week ahead and the best for all your studies if you're doing school. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and the best sleep of your life. Okay, bye guys.